Good morning. Welcome to Normal Jyoti classes on professional studies. Today we are covering paper 1 accounting module 1 accounting standards. Majority of you may be aware of the paper pattern. Still, if anybody is not aware or anybody is not conversant with the paper pattern, first of all, for studying the paper pattern and the weightage also you must be aware of that. Then only we can give due importance to that. As you are all aware, 4 papers are there in the paper 1, of which accounting is the first one. For accounting, another important thing is that it is very easy to score 80% marks compared to other topic. Majority are scoring exemptions and good marks accountancy. Paper 1 is comparatively easy. And of that, 14 chapters are there which you will be learning later. First module is exclusively for this accounting standard. And paper weightage is, this chapter weightage is 25 to 30 marks will be there from first module accounting standard. Again, you may be aware, theory is only with regard to 5 marks or only 5 marks will be there for theory. All others are for problem papers. In accounting standard, it is not problem only but narrative writing is there. And 25 marks. More than that, compulsory question always will be from accounting standard for 20 mark first question. And of 27 standards, you will have to study 8 standards for paper 1 and nearly 13 standards in advanced accounting of paper group 2 paper 1. So, here out of 8 standards to study for paper 1, 20 marks will be first question. From 8 accounting standards, 4 questions you will have to answer. 5 marks each 20, which will be compulsory also. Hence the importance of accounting standard. In your module, it starts with the initial lessons, road map of accounting standard, etc. From where questions are never seen. Questions are asked from accounting standard 1 onwards. So we can today, we can have a look into the other part also later. Today we can study accounting standard 1. Start with the accounting standard 1. Accounting standard 1 is also asked several times. And true or false questions are also there from this standard, seen twice or thrice. We will be covering briefly the sum and substance of accounting standard, as well as questions will be covered from textbook as well as scanner, and also question papers. Last several years question papers question also will be covered. From my experience, I am sure that will be enough to score 80 marks. For all chapters, we will be covering all the questions from textbook, revision test also, as well as mock test, previous question papers, scanner also. And pattern of previous question paper is that from textbook, nearly 50% questions are asked from textbook only, and balance previous question papers or scanner. Even then, it is easy to cover everything within the scheduled time itself because syllabus is not so vast. But the major thing is that you will have to answer at least questions up to 80 mark, which is time. Time is the main constraint for accounting paper. If you have attempted any time, or if you are first time, you may not be knowing. That is why we are suggesting you to answer mock test under exam conditions, so that time management can be better done. So accounting standard is of very important for both purpose. First paper only 8 accounting standards, and the second paper only 13 accounting standards. Rest will be studied during final. In the current syllabus is undergoing change, that is not at known. Still, from the available source, accounting both papers have been clubbed together, and accounting standard definitely will be there. For coming exam, the syllabus is present syllabus itself, and paper 1, group 1 accounting, paper 1, module 1 accounting standards, we are dealing with that today. There are certain tips or tricks to study theory part. Always you will have to study under that pattern. If vast narrative part you have to study, you go through that in the textbook and summarize it, so that during exam season or exam time, it is very easy to cover everything within the limited time. So short notes are provided which will cover all the things which are required to be studied. For in exam point of view, textbook also you read once or twice, that will give added advantage. Still, summary parts, so as to recollect the points, also will be given along with the note. Here, disclosure of accounting policies, AS1. AS1, disclosure of accounting policies. With regard to AS, all accounting standards, the heading is very important, and just like law, you should be able to recollect the number of accounting standard as well as the name of the accounting standard as such, without any change, ditto. Within quote you will have to write. 3 terms are included in the above, that is accounting standard, disclosure, accounting policies. 3 terms. Wherever you have to write anything or any question is asked, there is a shortcut. If you are not aware of anything, there is a shortcut to write at least something. That is, you ask certain WWWH. WWWH. You ask 3 or 4 W's. One is what, one is when, one is why. Then H stands for how. H stands for how. When for all questions you ask WWWH. Husband and wife. W stands for wife, H for husband. Just reverse Panchali. In Malayalam, Panchali. Just reverse. What is accounting standard? Why accounting standard? When accounting standard? How accounting standards can be applied? Just like in accounting standard, everywhere, if you are asked to ask right issue, you ask what is right issue, when right issue, how right issue, etc. So, if 1 or 2 sentence can be added, that will be covering 1 paragraph. If you ask WWW, everywhere this is a trick or tip, I say. So here, accounting standard 1. Accounting standards What is accounting standard? First W. What? Accounting standards are written statements of uniform accounting rules and guidelines or practices for preparing uniform and consistent financial statements. That is, this you will have to study. If you have to write any theory part questions, again theory part question will be only for 5 marks. Still, common understanding is enough. Accounting standard are written statements, just like below. There is written AS1. Statements of uniform accounting rules. You may be aware that financial statements include balance sheet, P&L account, cash flow, and notes on accounts. 4 things are involved in any financial statements. And if you have to understand really the financial statements or you have to apply it, then in the preparation of financial statement, certain uniform rules or guidelines should be followed. Otherwise, you may not be able to analyze the statement or compare the statement, or better to say, there will not be any uniformity. So, majority of accounting standards deals with recognition, measurement, presentation, and disclosure of transactions and events. I have simply put RMPD. That is, every time you have to recollect recognition, measurement, presentation, and disclosure of transactions and events. RMPD, just to remember, R means raw material, process, defect. When raw materials are processed, process defect will be there. You remember that for short form. This is what is called acronym setting. While reading or studying, better you put it in acronym. In Malayalam as well as English, everywhere it is possible to set acronym so that recollection of all points will be easy. Here RMPD, AS deals with RMPD, that will give you understanding recognition, measurement, presentation, and disclosure of transactions and events. That is, what is recognition? When to recognize a transaction and event. How to measure the value of transaction. How to present the things in the financial statement. How to disclose the transactions and events. All these are covered in majority of the standards. In certain standards, only recognition will be there. In certain standards, all the 4 items will be there. In certain, only disclosure will be there. Here, AS1 is related to disclosure alone. Measurement is not there. Presentation is also slightly there. So, all the AS, 27 AS are there. In all the 27 AS, either recognition, measurement, presentation, disclosure, any one or all, or any combination will be there. That is the first part. So, RMPD, raw material, process defect. You remember what all things are involved in this. This is acronym. In majority of the cases, acronym will be there, or I will try to give acronym. I think you may be aware of this acronym setting. Yes. Then, why accounting standard? Next W. First, what is accounting standard? We have seen. Next, why accounting standard? That is benefit of AS. Ensure uniformity. As you are aware, these financial statements are not intended for the firm alone, firm or management alone. This is intended to stakeholders. I have used stakeholders, not shareholders. Stakeholders means all the parties interested in the affairs of an organization. In total, we say stakeholders. That is, stakeholders can be shareholder, management, debtors, creditors, consumers, government, local inhabitants, because all these have certain interest in the affairs of the organization. So, stakeholders should be able to analyze once you see the financial statement. If they have to analyze it properly, there should be standard set of principles behind the preparation of that statement. That is the first thing, uniformity. So, stakeholders means interested parties. In Malayalam, there is a saying, there are several interests in the case of a girl going to marry somebody. ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടി വിവാഹം കഴിക്കാൻ പോകുമ്പോൾ അവരുടെ താല്പര്യങ്ങൾ പറയണതാണ് കന്യാ വരയതേ രൂപം, മാതാ വിത്തം, പിതാ ധനം, ബാന്ധവ കുലമിച്ഛന്തി, മൃഷ്ടാന്നം ഇതരേ ജനാൽ എന്നുള്ളൊരു ശ്ലോകമുണ്ട്. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ കന്യാ വരയതേ രൂപം, പെൺകുട്ടി വരന്റെ രൂപം വിചാരിക്കും. മാതാ വിത്തം, അമ്മ വിചാരിക്കും ഊണ് കഴിക്കാൻ വേണം കല്യാണം കഴിച്ചു പോയ വീട്ടില്, അതായത് കൃഷി നെല്ല് ഒക്കെ വേണമെന്ന്. പിതാ ധനം, അച്ഛൻ വിചാരിക്കും കാശ് മതി, അരി വാങ്ങാലോ, നല്ല ധനിവനാണ്. അമ്മാം വിചാരിക്കും കുലം, നല്ല വീട്, നമ്മളോട് യോജിച്ച് പോണ തരക്കാരാവണം. ബാക്കി ക്ഷണിച്ചു പോണവരൊക്കെ വിചാരിക്കും മൃഷ്ടാന്നം ഇതരേ ജനാൽ, നല്ല സദ്യ കിട്ടണം. പിന്നത്തെ ഒന്നും അവർക്ക് താല്പര്യമില്ല. വിളിച്ച് ബന്ധുമിത്രാദികളല്ല, അല്ലാതെ വിളിച്ച് ചെല്ലുന്നവരില്ല, ഇലക്കം നമ്മൾ ബാക്കിയുള്ളവരെ വിളിക്കണവരൊക്കെ അങ്ങനെ വിചാരിക്കും. സോ ഓരോരുത്തരുടെയും താല്പര്യം ഓരോന്നാണ്. അതുപോലെയാണ് ഒരു കമ്പനിയുടെ സ്റ്റേക്ക് ഹോൾഡേഴ്സിന്റെ താല്പര്യങ്ങളും എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. ദാറ്റ് മീൻസ് shareholders will be interested in dividend, percentage of dividend. Every year they want a higher percentage. Government will be interested in tax. Customers will be interested in good quality of the product as well as service, future service. Debtors will be interested in liquidity, solvency of the company. Creditors will be interested in solvency of the company. Local inhabitants will be interested that there should not be any pollution, water, air due to the functioning of the organization in a particular locality. Local government will be interested in local taxes. So, the interest of each financial institution will be long-term solvency. Who has lended huge money, they will be interested in long-term solvency of the company. You may be aware that solvency is short-term. Short-term solvency is called liquidity and long-term liquidity is called solvency. So, long-term liquidity is solvency. Company, those who are financiers, bank or financial institutions will be interested in the long-term solvency of the company. That is the varied nature of interest. Then, accounting standard is set for comparability of financial statements. If during a particular period a system is followed and next year another policy is followed, you may not be able to compare inventory valuation. First year FIFO is followed and next year instead of FIFO, weighted average is followed. So, you may not be able to compare both the figures as apparent difference will be there. So, for comparison also, accounting standards should be applied and uniformly, consistently. That will come later. Then, requirement of additional disclosure. Accounting standards states some requirement norms, what all things to be disclosed. That is also set in the standard. Then reduction of scope for creative accounting or window dressing. If a standard is fixed, you cannot prepare a financial statement according to your desire. There is no scope for creative accounting. Window dressing means putting a fake figure to see good. പൗഡറൊക്കെ ഇടുന്ന പോലെ വിൻഡോ ഡ്രസ് ചെയ്ത് നന്നായിട്ട് പുറത്തേക്ക് കാണാൻ പാകത്തിന് നന്നായി ഇടുക. പുറത്ത് ഇതൊന്നും കാണാതിരിക്കാൻ വിൻഡോമ നല്ല കർട്ടണൊക്കെ ഇടും. അതുപോലെ കമ്പനിയുടെ അക്കൗണ്ട്സ് പുറത്തേക്ക് കാണുമ്പോൾ നല്ലതായി നല്ല കമ്പനിയായിട്ട് തോന്നാൻ വേണ്ടി ക്രിയേറ്റീവ് അക്കൗണ്ടിങ് ചെയ്ത് മോടി പിടിപ്പിക്കാതിരിക്കാനാണ് സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് പറഞ്ഞേക്കുന്നത്. സോ സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് സെറ്റ് സർട്ടൻ നോംസ് which should be followed in the preparation of accounting statements, that is P&L account, balance sheet, cash flow, notes, etc. So these are the need for accounting standard. Then what AS1 says? Primarily AS1 is a disclosure standard, only disclosure, RMPD. In certain standard, recognition will be there as well as measurement will be there. Disclosure will be there, presentation will be there. Here, only disclosure standard, disclosure alone is. Then, this AS does not say what to follow, what policy should be followed. That is not mentioned in the AS. That is because organizational needs may vary. There are different types of organization and their need may vary. One policy may not be suitable to all because of the requirement of each organization. ചെരുപ്പ് എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരേ ചെരുപ്പ് പറ്റില്ല. കാലിനനുസരിച്ച് ചെരുപ്പിനനുസരിച്ച് കാല് വെട്ടാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അപ്പൊ ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ അനുസരിച്ച് ASന്റെ റിക്വയർമെന്റ് പോളിസി റിക്വയർമെന്റ് വേരി ചെയ്യും. അപ്പൊ ഏത് പോളിസി ഫോളോ ചെയ്യണം എല്ലാ ഓർഗനൈസേഷന് AS will not say. It is not practically feasible. Then what AS says? AS says whatever policy you follow, that must be disclosed. You can follow as per your management choice any one of the approved policy. That policy, whichever you are following, that must be specified. For example, there may be organization dealing with iron and steel. There may be organization which is dealing petroleum product. Inventory valuation both cannot be same because petroleum is may have much deterioration, pilferage, leakage. Iron and steel may not be having such. So, policy of inventory valuation may vary depending upon which item of inventory you are using. So, every firm cannot have same as every person cannot have chappals of same size. Depending upon the organization, it may vary. So, certain policies, firm are operating under various conditions. Certain policies may have to be adopted for each organization according to suit their requirement. For example, inventory valuation. It can be first in, first out, last in, first out, or weighted average. Fixed asset. It can be shown at original cost or written down value in the balance sheet. Government grant. If government is giving certain grant to certain organization, it can be deducted directly from the asset, or whichever policy is to be followed, this AS is silent. Management can choose the policy depending upon the requirement. Then another major thing is that there are certain fundamental accounting policies assumptions that need not be disclosed, but if not followed, that first must be disclosed. Fundamental accounting policy Just below we will see there are certain fundamental accounting policy. If that fundamental accounting policies are followed, nothing need be stated, disclosed. But if fundamental accounting policies are not followed, that must be disclosed. And that is one of the major botheration of auditors also. If any company violate any of the fundamental policy, auditors must qualify their report according to the materiality. Then, what are the fundamental accounting policies? Just below we will study. AS does not tell which policy must be followed, but disclosure alone is insisted. That is the major part. Then, while selecting a policy, what are the considerations? The acronym is MSP. That will Malabar Special Policy. If you remember MSP, policy consideration, you can write all the points. Primary consideration in selecting any accounting policy is that statement prepared adopting that policy must give true and fair view. If in every audit, auditor has to qualify that the financial statement give true and fair view. In all audit report, wherever you see, wherever you verify, first certification will be these statements give true and fair view. That is the primary consideration of an auditor. They should certify that it gives true and fair view. Then other secondary considerations are MSP, Malabar Special Police. MSP you remember. That is acronym. Materiality, that is significance. Significance means decision making or influencing the readers or you. If any matter is of influential to the readers or users of financial statement, that we call material. For example, if an organization having 100 crores turnover, if something is there which is of 100 rupees or 1000 rupees, it is not at all material. Because 1000 rupees of 100 crores is immaterial. So you needn't qualify or it is not significant. But if the organization is having only 20,000 or that much turnover 1000 is material. So material means significant importance in terms of the total. Then second is substance over form, means reality over legality. Reality over legality. That is, in accounting, reality should be considered more than legality. One example will give it very clear picture on substance over form. If a company, if an organization purchases a land and building and pays the full amount and the owner of the building has handed over the key and everything to you in March itself, before March, say 25th March, building has been transferred, you have paid the entire amount, your key has been handed over the building. But you couldn't register it during March because of certain legal formality or something involved or busyness of the registration office or holidays of the registration office. Last 3 days were holidays and last day registration is not allowed or something like that. So 25th, all formalities have been cleared except this registration. Whether that purchase should be accounted during last year or subsequent year is the question. There, reality is to be considered. In reality, building has become yours. So you can debit the asset and payment also has been made. That is substance over form. One example will be making the things clear. So more than legality, reality is to be considered in accounting. Then prudence, MSPP. Prudence is nothing but conservatism. That is err on the safe side. Accounting principle says that if any loss is suspected, that must be booked. But if any profit is suspected or there is remote chance that there may be a profit, you needn't book it. That is around the safe side. All the loss must be booked as and when suspected, but all the profit need not be taken to consideration. That is prudence. And prudence does not permit creation of secret reserve. Secret reserve should not be created in the name of prudence. That is the MSP, very important, materiality, substance over from prudence. Then requirement of AS. What this AS says, that is the cardinal major element. All significant accounting policy adopted in the preparation and presentation of financial statement should be disclosed in one place, as well as significant accounting policy. That is, significant accounting policy followed in the preparation and presentation of financial statement should be disclosed, not in staggered form but in one place, under notes attached and form part of financial statements. We have seen that financial statements include balance sheet, P&L account, cash flow and note on accounts. These must be shown in note on accounts. All significant accounting policy adopted in the preparation and presentation of financial statement should be disclosed in one place, one by one. How the inventory is valued, how gratuity is calculated or provided. They are policy decision. How government grant is accounted, how fixed assets are shown, whether at depreciated, return on value, at cost. That all things will be disclosed in notes in one place, one by one, at one place. Then second is fundamental accounting policies assumption need not be disclosed, but if not followed, fact must be disclosed. That we have already seen. 10th ക്ലാസ്സിലെ പരീക്ഷ കഴിഞ്ഞ് റിസൾട്ട് അറിഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നു. ഒരാള് +2 ചേരാൻ സ്കൂളിലേക്ക് വന്നു. 10th ക്ലാസ് പാസ്സായോ എന്ന് വീണ്ടും ചോദിക്കണ്ട, ഇംപ്ലൈഡ് ആണ്. പാസ്സായിട്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ അയാൾ പറയണം. ഫോം മേടിക്കാൻ നിൽക്കുന്ന ആളുകൾ, ക്യൂ നിൽക്കുന്ന ആള് 10 പാസ്സായിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നാണ് ബേസിക് അസംഷൻ. ദാറ്റ് നീഡ് നോട്ട് ബി സ്റ്റേറ്റഡ് അഗെയിൻ. സോ ഫണ്ടമെന്റൽ അക്കൗണ്ടിംഗ് അസംഷൻ നീഡ് നോട്ട് ബി ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ്ഡ്. Then AS does not tell which policy must be followed, but disclosure alone is insisted. ഏത് പോളിസി വേണമെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. Several companies are there and the requirement may vary and management can select a policy convenient to them. These are requirement of AS. Then first major thing, fundamental accounting policies, which we haven't seen earlier. If this is followed, you needn't disclose. 10th class പാസ്സായി, ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യേണ്ട. +2 ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ വാങ്ങാൻ ചെല്ലുമ്പോൾ ക്യൂ നിൽക്കുന്ന ആള് പാസ്സായില്ലെങ്കിൽ പറയണം, ഞാൻ പാസ്സായിട്ടില്ല, എനിക്ക് ഫോം തരുമോ, ചേർക്കുമെന്ന്. പാസ്സായ പറയണ്ട, ഇംപ്ലൈഡ് ആണ്. സോ ഫണ്ടമെന്റൽ അക്കൗണ്ടിംഗ് പോളിസീസ്, C&AG. The head of all audit in government department is Controller and Auditor General. So acronym I have put C&AG, Fundamental Accounting Policy. Whenever you recollect fundamental accounting policy, immediately to your mind C&AG should come. C&AG is the Talatappan age audit in the Controller and Auditor General, who is appointed by President of India. Draupadi Murmu appointed ചെയ്ത ആള് ഡൽഹിയിലുണ്ട് C&G ഓർക്കാൻ കാരണം fundamental accounting policy. There are 3 fundamental accounting policy. First one, consistency. Consistency means policy followed must be consistently followed. That is, same policy must be followed in all the years. Year after year, you should not change the policy adopted. Just to ensure comparability, you have to compare the statement. For that, consistency is a must. If you follow FIFO this year, next year also FIFO followed continuously. Wherever change is allowed, it is stated just next to this. Then accrual. Accounting are of 2 types, cash basis and accrual basis. Accrual means as and when transactions happens or receipts or payment is due. Due basis you should account. Accounting should be on due basis. Outstanding irrespective whether cash is received or not. Whether cash is received or not, that should not be considered. Sales made during March 31st, cash received in April. In the sale of March itself, it is included irrespective of cash is received or not. That is accrual. This accrual basis is uniformly accepted and that is fundamental. That must be followed. That is, all the outstanding liabilities should be booked, all prepaid item, all that also, everything should be accounted on accrual basis, not cash basis. Irrespective of cash is received or not, if sales is made during March, that must be accounted in that year covering March. Then going concern concept, very important concept, means while accounting, we assume that company or organization will go on indefinitely and no intention to close down during foreseeable future. Company, we don't have any intention to close down the unit in coming future. Foreseeable future. മുന്നോട്ട് നോക്കിയാൽ കാണാവുന്നോളം കാലത്തേക്ക് കമ്പനി തുടരും എന്നാണ് നമ്മുടെ അസംഷൻ. അങ്ങനെയാണ് അക്കൗണ്ടിങ് റെക്കോർഡ്സ് മെയിൻറ്റെയിൻ ചെയ്യുക. അതിന്റെ മാറ്റം എന്താണ്? If our intention is close down the business, assets and liabilities should be valued at a realizable value, not a cost or market price, whichever is less. We are valuing stock on the assumption that company will go on forever, so it is valued at cost. Whenever a assumption has gone wrong, going concern concept is not there. എപ്പോഴാണ് ഈ ഗോയിങ് കൺസേൺ കൺസെപ്റ്റിന് കൊളാപ്സ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഡിഫറൻസ് സംഭവിക്കണത്? സപ്പോസ് യു ആർ മാനുഫാക്ചറിങ് സംതിങ്, ദ സെയിൽ ഓഫ് വിച്ച് ഈസ് ഫോർബിഡൻ നൗ, അതിനെ വിൽക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ ഇമ്മീഡിയറ്റ്ലി ദാറ്റ് ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ വിൽ ഹാവ് ടു ബി ക്ലോസ് ഡൗൺ. ബൾബ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്ന ഒരു ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ ഇപ്പൊ ബൾബേ ഇല്ല, ഫിലമെന്റ് രഹിത സംസ്ഥാനമായി. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ചെറിയ ക്യാരി ബാഗ് അത് നിരോധിച്ചു, അപ്പൊ അത് ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അത് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്ന ഒരു ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ ആണ്. ഇനി അത് ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല, നമുക്ക് ഓൾട്ടർനേറ്റ് ടെക്നോളജി ഇല്ല, വേറെ ഐറ്റം ഉണ്ടാക്കാനും ഇല്ല എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഗോയിങ് കൺസേൺ കൺസെപ്റ്റ് cannot be anticipated or going concern concept cannot be assumed. In that circumstances, all the assets and liabilities should be valued at realizable value at that spot. അപ്പൊ എന്ത് കിട്ടും? പെട്ട വിലക്ക് വിൽക്കുക അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സെറ്റിൽ ചെയ്യുക എന്നുള്ളതിലേക്ക് വേണം. അപ്പൊ 3 കൺസെപ്റ്റ് C&G, വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ്. കൺസിസ്റ്റൻസി, അക്രൂവൽ, ഗോയിങ് കൺസേൺ. C&G എന്ന് ഓർത്താൽ തന്നെ ഈ 3 എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യാൻ യു ഷുഡ് ബി ഏബിൾ ടു എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് then we have seen that for consistency, policy followed should be continuously followed. Then how it can be changed, when it can be changed, very important. ലാബ് എന്ന് എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട് ഞാൻ. ലാബ് എന്ന് എഴുതിയത് LAB വളരെ പർപ്പസ്ഫുള്ളി ആണ്. ഇഫ് എ പേഷ്യന്റ് ഈസ് യൂട്ടിലൈസിംഗ് എ പർട്ടിക്കുലർ ടാബ്ലറ്റ് ഫോർ എ പർട്ടിക്കുലർ ഡിസീസ്, സേ ഷുഗർ ഓർ പ്രഷർ, if you have to change that tablet, immediately you have to check in a lab your blood or ECG or whatever it may concerned. Lab test is must for a change. Here also lab is important. Change in policy allowed under 3 conditions, LAB. Law or statute, when it is necessitated by a change in law or statute. If a particular law is enacted demanding a change in the policy followed by us, then change can be allowed. Statutory or legal change, that is above AS. Then change in accounting standard. If another accounting standard says that it should be done in this way, this AS1 supersedes. AS1 is not there. The new AS supersedes AS1. That must be followed, accounting standard. Then better presentation. If the management feels that for better presentation, new policy should be followed, then we must adopt that policy. That is, change is allowed. Then, if policy is changed, policy change ചെയ്യുന്നത് 3 കണ്ടീഷനിലാണ്. ലാബ്, ലോ ഓർ സ്റ്റാറ്റ്യൂട്ട് ഡിമാൻഡ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ പുതിയൊരു നിയമം വരികയാണ്, പുതിയൊരു സ്റ്റാറ്റ്യൂട്ട് വരികയാണ്, അതുകൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് മാറ്റം വരുത്തേണ്ടി വരികയാണെങ്കിൽ വേണം. ഒരു അക്കൗണ്ടിങ് സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് വന്നു പുതിയതായിട്ട്, അതനുസരിച്ച് നമ്മൾ അക്കൗണ്ട് ചെയ്യണം നമ്മുടെ ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്ത മെത്തേഡ് ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യാം. മൂന്നാമത്തെ ഫോർ ബെറ്റർ പ്രസന്റേഷൻ ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യാം. ഇഫ് ദ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് ഈസ് ഓഫ് ദ ഒപ്പീനിയൻ ദാറ്റ് ഫോർ ബെറ്റർ പ്രസന്റേഷൻ ഓഫ് ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ റിസൾട്ട്സ് a change is inevitable. We were dealing with the FIFO. Inventory was valued at FIFO. Now, company thinks that weighted average will give better presentation of the inventory position. Then company can change. Whenever change is there, very important, 5 things should be disclosed. 5 കാര്യം ഒരു ചേഞ്ച് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ്സിൽ ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യണം. ഫസ്റ്റ് വൺ, വാട്ട് ഈസ് ദ ചേഞ്ച്. സെക്കൻഡ്, റീസൺ ഫോർ ദ ചേഞ്ച്. ഒരു ബ്രീഫ് ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷൻ, എന്താണ് ചേഞ്ച്. വാല്യുവേഷൻ ഓഫ് ഇൻവെന്ററി ഹാസ് ബീൻ ചേഞ്ച്ഡ് ഫ്രം FIFO to LIFO or FIFO to weighted average. What is the change? Reason for the change. Reason for the change, in majority of the cases management will say that for better presentation. AS-ലെ ചേഞ്ചും ലീഗൽ സ്റ്റാറ്റ്യൂട്ടിലെ ചേഞ്ചും ഒന്നും സാധാരണ ഉണ്ടാകില്ല. ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് നല്ല റീസൺ ആണ്, അല്ലാന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഫോർ ബെറ്റർ പ്രസന്റേഷൻ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് ഫീൽസ് ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് റിക്വയർഡ് എന്ന് പറയണം. Then effect of the change in current year's profit or loss or assets and liabilities. Normally ഒരു ചേഞ്ച് കൊണ്ട് ബാലൻസ് ഷീറ്റിനെ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യാം, പ്രോഫിറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ലോസ് അക്കൗണ്ടിനെ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യാം, അസറ്റ്സിനെ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യാം, ലയബിലിറ്റീസിനെ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യാം. ഏതെങ്കിലും 2 എണ്ണത്തിനെ എങ്ങനെയായാലും അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യും. ഇൻവെന്ററി വാല്യുവേഷൻ, FIFO എന്ന് വെയ്റ്റഡ് ആവറേജിലേക്ക് മാറി, ഇൻവെന്ററി കൂടി, ക്ലോസിംഗ് ഇൻവെന്ററി കൂടി എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പ്രോഫിറ്റ് കൂടും. അസറ്റ്സ് ആൻഡ് ലയബിലിറ്റീസില് അസറ്റ് കൂടും, രണ്ടും കൂടും. അപ്പൊ അത് എഫക്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ചേഞ്ചസ്, എത്ര രൂപയുടെ എഫക്റ്റ് ഉണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളത് സ്പെസിഫൈ ചെയ്യണം എന്നാണ് അക്കൗണ്ടിംഗ് സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് 1 പറയണേ. Whenever a change has been adopted, the effect of the change should be disclosed. Then, if the change has effect only in future, that fact must be disclosed. ചില ഫാക്ട് ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു ചേഞ്ച് ഉണ്ടാകില്ല, ചില ചേഞ്ച് കൊണ്ട് ഫ്യൂച്ചറിലേക്കായിരിക്കും ചേഞ്ച് വരുന്നത്. അങ്ങനെ വരികയാണെങ്കിൽ ആ ഫ്യൂച്ചറിൽ എന്ത് ഇമ്പാക്റ്റ് വരും എന്നുള്ളതും ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യണം. ഉദാഹരണം പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, നമ്മൾ ആഫ്റ്റർ സെയിൽസ് വാറണ്ടി ഒരു കമ്പനി പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് വിൽക്കുന്നു. ആ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് വിൽക്കുന്നതിന് ഇതുവരെ നമ്മൾ പ്രൊവിഷൻ ഒന്നും ഇടാറില്ല. പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് വിൽക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ പറയും 6 months whatever complaint is there, you give it back to us, we will rectify it and give it to you. ഞങ്ങൾ എഗ്രി ചെയ്തേക്കണു തരാൻ. ഫ്രിഡ്ജ്, വാഷിംഗ് മെഷീൻ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ളതൊക്കെ തരുമ്പോൾ ആഫ്റ്റർ സെയിൽസ് വാറണ്ടി ഉണ്ടാവും. ഒരു ഫ്രഷ് കമ്പനിക്ക് ആഫ്റ്റർ സെയിൽസ് വാറണ്ടി കൊടുക്കുമ്പോൾ ഇതിന്റെ ഇമ്പാക്ട്, ഇത് എത്ര എണ്ണത്തിന് കംപ്ലൈന്റ് വരും, എത്ര എണ്ണത്തിന് എത്ര കാശ് നമുക്ക് ചെലവ് വരും, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് വെരി ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് ടു എസ്റ്റിമേറ്റ്. ഇപ്പൊ ഫ്യൂച്ചറിൽ വരുന്നതാണ്, എത്ര വരുന്ന അറിയാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആ ഫാക്ട് ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യണം. ദെൻ ഇഫ് നോട്ട് ക്വാണ്ടിഫയബിൾ, മെഷറബിൾ, ഇപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് പറയാനേ പറ്റില്ല എത്ര വരുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആ കാര്യം ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യണം. At this stage, we are not able to measure the quantity of the amount payable. That must be, ഈ 5 കാര്യവും ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യണം. അപ്പൊ ഇതിൽ നമ്മൾ AS1 സമ്മറി പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വാട്ട് ഈസ് AS, വാട്ട് ആർ ദ റിക്വയർമെന്റ് ഓഫ് AS, വാട്ട് ആർ ദ ഫണ്ടമെന്റൽ പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾസ്. ഈ ഫണ്ടമെന്റൽ പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾസ് ആർ വയലേറ്റഡ്, auditor should qualify it, and if fundamental accounting policies are followed, you need to disclose. If fundamental accounting policies are not followed, auditor as well as management should specifically state the reason. And accounting policy should be consistently followed, and it can be changed under lab 3 conditions. And whenever a change is there, 5 things must be disclosed. What is the change? Reason for the change, effect of the change in current year's profit or loss, as well as assets and liabilities. And if the change has effect only in future, that fact must be disclosed. If effect is not quantifiable, measurable, that fact must be disclosed. This is summary of the AS1. In AS1, questions are asked in several times. Last year also 4 questions of 1 mark each, true or false, were there. So AS1 is over now. We will come with the AS2 next. And illustration, illustrations are self-explanatory, covering this portion only. That is, a change in inventory valuation is there. You should say it is allowed, what all things to be disclosed. Okay, thank you.